Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaje, in today's briefing on COVID-19 case management. Dr. Abuaje also urged Ghanaians to stop stigmatizing recovered patients because they no longer carry the virus and therefore cannot infect other persons.
The key highlights of the protocol is that for symptomatic cases, that's for those who are sick, who report with symptoms, cough, fever, etc. They spend 14 days plus 3 days without symptoms. So we are looking more about 17 days. But of course, if you stand longer, that if your symptoms continue, we will keep you until you are no more. You are able to show 3 days without symptoms, and you will be discharged without a test. For those who do not have symptoms, it's 14 days after initial positive test. And that should be based on the day the sample is taken, not the day you got your results. So that's when we count the necessary. So like we said, TR test is no longer necessary. The patients will be reviewed at home to see whether they are discharged and finally discharged, not necessarily from our facility or from the cell, but these are all areas that we may want to look at. Currently, recovery rate stands about 75%, and the cumulative recovery rate stands 10,907 cases. So, if you look at that, Ashanti has recorded about 66% of all their cases has recovered. Bono has 33% recovery because they didn't start getting cases, got a few recent cases. Bono is 48%. Central region has about 83% of all their cases have recovered and discharged. Eastern region 56%. Greater Accra 77%. That is accounting for the last number. Northern region, all their cases have recovered 100%. Northeast is 67, because they just had a recent one. OT about 30%. Savannah 100%. Upper East 8% because they are still waiting for the last few. But I'm sure within the next few days, those asymptomatic will be discharged. What I would like to say to all is that please, those who are recovered and discharged are free and they are not able to transmit the virus to anybody. So people should receive them and be sure that they are out there and not create any stigma for them. They are free. We isolate people because they can transmit to somebody else. We only release people who are unable to transmit the virus to another person.
Now, the Ghana Health Service said it is continuing to increase hospital capacity countrywide to take care of case management for COVID-19, as Ghana recorded 440 new cases from 25 districts in 3 regions. Minister for Information Kojo Nkrumah also said they are engaging the police on how to implement the mandatory wearing of face masks. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, let's listen to the Director of Public Affairs for the Ghana Police Service, Sheila Abeye Bakman. She spoke on COVID and the law with Samson Ladia Yenini.
Ernest is very, very wrong because the law does not give an exemption of being in a car and having rolled up or having your mask hanging by you. The law says a person shall. And so if you're found in a public place, so Ernest thinks that he's in his private car. So perhaps the private car is not a public place. But from the narration, I get it that Ernest was driving because he says, I was driving.
Yes.
Now let's look at 1B of the law. It says leaving or returning to your place of abode. So once you are driving, you would be leaving or returning. In fact, if you go to the definition of public place, we are defining public place in the context of the Criminal Offences Act.
Okay.
The Criminal and Other Offences Act 29. In section 1, the definition section, we have public place defined. And it includes a public way, which will be the road that he is also driving on. So you may be in your vehicle AC rolled up, alone, no possibility of contact. But this law is very strict. If you have any defense, please save it for the court. When you are arrested and you are taken to court, you may raise your defense there, and it is up to the judge to use whatever laws applicable to decide. But as for us police officers, we will arrest you once you fall within this provision. If you are in a public place, and I'm sure through the discussion we will come out with all the circumstances of public place, or if you are leaving or returning to your place of abode.
We can now hear from the Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, who said the police is being engaged to apply a more purposive interpretation to EI 164.
The objective of EI 164 is to compel all persons within public places and who are in contact with others to wear a face covering, like what I'm wearing this morning. This is necessary to curb the rate at which a positive person who has the ability to infect others, as we're being educated, can spread the virus. That's the objective of the lawmaker. Now, generally what we expect is compliance from the public for the greater public good. Because you may not know, if you haven't been tested and proven positive within a particular window, you may not even know that you are a positive person who can infect other persons. And so the objective is that as the majority or as the entire public going out into public places wears a face covering, we'll be able to curb the rate at which, if somebody is positive and is infectious, can be passing it on to others. Now, we acknowledge a big area in the law which is got to do with individuals who are in their private cars by themselves. And we also acknowledge that there's a very strict interpretation that the police intend to give to such scenarios, looking at the text of the law. The lawyers will tell you that there are those who do, they call the literalist interpretation, and then there are those who also do purposive interpretation. Today the courts even use what they call the modern purposive approach. So what government is doing is engaging with the police to give the EI a purposive interpretation when they're applying it. And as I mentioned, the purpose or the objective is to compel all persons within public places and in contact with others to wear face covering so that we can curb the rate of transmission. And so engagements have started with the police so that they can give it a more purposeful approach. Those will be our remarks on this particular matter.
Still on COVID-19, the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund has launched a crowdfunding initiative to raise money to complete its flagship project, a 100-bed infectious disease isolation and treatment facility at the East Hospital in Accra. Work on the facility began in mid-April after President Akufo-Addo broke grounds for work to start. With just 2 weeks to the official opening of the facility, the fund says it is faced with a funding gap of $7.1 million. Senor Hosi is managing trustee of the fund.
With respect to the fund administration systems, it's a very transparent and open fund management system we actually have here. The fund manager is not the trustees. The fund manager is a regulated institution, STANLIB, and STANLIB is a subsidiary of Stanbic Bank. We have fund custodians, and that's Fidelity Bank and EcoBank. And the funds and its expenditure and project expenditure are run by KPMG. So KPMG are the fund's project accountants. So directly we do not really administer it as trustees. Our job is to actually give strategic guidance to every single person is accounted for, will be accounted for. And we would encourage donors at any point in time to support this. We've commenced a project which we call the 10 Ghana Challenge, which seeks to raise crowdfunding from the general public to help complete this project. After the donation we have right now, we currently have about a 6.5 million cedi funding shortfall, and we still have possibly about 2 weeks to go to the completion of the project. And we need to raise that funding in between time. But we trust that the good people of Ghana, anybody who can get to contribute anything, just dial *718*25*219# and donate 10 Ghana cedis or more.
So the funding gap is in cedis and not in dollars. Meanwhile, a private firm, CH Group Limited, has donated $100,000 to the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund, presenting the check to Management Group COO Cynthia Darko, called on other private firms to emulate the gesture, adding governments cannot win the fight against COVID-19 alone.
CH Group Limited is a holding company with subsidiaries that operate in real estate, oil and gas. We came here today representing our foundation. This point in our country's history where we are going through a pandemic, to have the private sector take up the initiative of developing a 100-bed facility dedicated to the treatment of infectious diseases. We thought that this was a noble cause. As an organization, we've been involved in a lot of CSR initiatives over the years. We've done quite a lot in terms of giving back to the community. We think that this project transcends COVID-19. To have a dedicated facility that can take care of any infectious diseases that will come in today and later on in the future, we know that it's a good thing. Anything that transcends generations is something that we would want to be a part of. And I would like to commend the private sector for taking this initiative.
Meanwhile, educationists have called for the mental state of students and teachers to be prioritized as schools reopen for third years in senior high schools. NAGRAT President Angel Kabonu Peter Enti of the Institute for Education Studies and Dr. Ruth OWUSU Entry, head of psychiatry at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, were speaking on AM Show with Roland Walker today.
What the medical persons gave us was a blanket no, indicating to us that the numbers were growing. In fact, that we had been able to ask students to go to school. So that was what we communicated to government at that time. That, look, the medical people are telling us that the dynamics have not changed and they are still having problems in identifying the nature and behavior of this disease.
This has been a very difficult decision for all of us, parents, teachers, we who are studying the sector from afar, the ministry, Ghana Education Service, and even the students. There were mixed reactions when the idea was mooted that the schools need to reopen for especially the graduating students, something that we at IFES have been advocating for over the months, that we need to make sure that these students exit from the system so that we have a clear pathway for how we go about our education after the coronavirus, or when the pandemic is brought under control. So there were back and forth here and there, but finally we are happy that schools reopened yesterday. I think it was Saturday, Sunday that the students were supposed to report on campus. There seems to be a lot of energy from the part of the...
I've been a bit concerned because I realized that the government did very well, provided PPEs to the various schools, cautioned them about stepping up the preventive measures and all that. But it seems that everyone forgot about emotional PPEs, which is very essential in the whole of this pandemic. Students are going back to school. What kind of emotional PPEs have been dispatched to them? both their teachers, their parents, and the students themselves. And I think that we have woefully done inadequately in that sense. People are anxious, parents are anxious, the students themselves are anxious. Teachers may be uncomfortable as well and may be entertaining their own anxieties, even though they may put up a brave face. And so I thought that there will be measures in place to educate these students, educate their teachers, tell them how to handle the anxieties that may come with students coming back to school and all that. Tell them that when students are anxious, where do they go to? Who do they see? Is there a counselor on site? Is there a mental health aspect on site? I didn't seem to see that aspect being visibly affected into students going back to school in all of this. Our colleagues elsewhere have set a very good example that we should follow, albeit late. It's better late than never. And so we should be able to put up these links quickly. When COVID came into the country, there were hotlines for people to call whenever they were having symptoms and all that. We should do likewise for students, parents of students, teachers, even in this time that they are going back to school. There should be hotlines for them to call.
You may now be required to pay to watch digital television. That's if the NCA goes ahead with a new policy it intends to roll out. This comes in the wake of a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court that dismissed the case filed by the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association challenging the new system, which was to be implemented by June this year, but was deferred. Now, court correspondent Joseph Akable interacted with Gary Nimakun, his lawyer for the NCA.
When they filed this case in respect of claiming that the policy of the Ministry of Communication trying to introduce a conditional access system is curtailing freedom of expression or their right to broadcast. We have told them from day one that that position is wrong in law, because at the end of the day, even if that policy itself is even to talk about, it has not been implemented, it's not been carried into effect. You understand what I'm saying? So the action itself from day one has been premature. We told them from day one that the case is premature and they won't listen to us. And the court has affirmed our position that the action is premature. So that, I think, should be it. In any event, this issue about conditional access system, what is it about? It's a thinking through that government is doing to say, look, let's find a very nice way, a very refined way going into the future, all right, to introduce a system whereby television viewers, can pay TV licenses. You get what I'm saying? So at least to even raise revenue for government in one way or the other. It has got nothing to do with the content of broadcasters, with your content, nothing at all. So we don't see the complaint of Giba in this matter. So clearly, there's a lot of misinformation out there that once that policy is introduced, government intends to fetter with the right to broadcast, and that is not correct. That's not correct. So the court agreed with us, and I think that the action is premature, so it's been thrown away.
The court made the point that you are scheduled to implement it by end of year. Are we to understand that?
You see, it is not about rescheduling it per se. You see, there's a global trend that now no longer analog system is going to be in operation. I believe you are aware. And now they're all going digital, So it's a global trend, and the global trend, Ghana is not out of the world. We are part of the global community, So the analog system is fading away. What is going to happen is the digital migration, and it's going to happen. Because without it, we can't even view television in this country. You understand? And we have already gone in to sign all the documents out there, So yeah, so I don't really see the big deal. For instance, if you are a DSTV subscriber and you have paid your subscription fees, can't you watch your program? Okay. Now this one, government is simply saying that for the indigents, people who obviously cannot even pay, they put them on a certain, you know, what do you call it, on a certain lifeline. If you cannot pay and you are indigent, you can still view, but you are viewing digital. And the digital is giving you access, universal access across the whole country, everywhere in Ghana. No longer analog. Universal access everywhere in Ghana you can view. So really, I don't see the complaint of Giba.
The entire ESSD community in the MAMPRUGU Majuri district of the Northeast region has been thrown into a state of mourning following the news this morning about the death of a 48-year-old man who died in a violent confrontation with his 29-year-old brother. The deceased, named Nhyira, was said to have been hit with an object after he allegedly called his brother Bashiru a thief following an argument at a drinking spot in the afternoon of Monday. Correspondent Elias Utanko narrates the incident.
Well, we are getting this information from community sources. We are also getting the information from community leaders who intervened this morning in the incident. We are also speaking to the police who are all giving us this particular information. The details are still unfolding, but what we know currently is that the incident happened yesterday in the afternoon at a drinking spot, like you rightly said. We understand misunderstanding ensued. These are brothers. They all come from the same house, a big family house in the community, very related. And so we understand misunderstanding ensued at the drinking spot. The details are not very clear, but our community sources who followed actually was involved or was actually present when this confrontation started, told us that the disease was called a thief by the accused, and that provoked him, and so that caused the misunderstanding. In the course of the confrontation, we are told that the accused, so to speak, hit the disease with a stick. He fell down and was rushed to the UZC Community Health Center. Unfortunately, this morning at about 3 a.m., we are told he was pronounced dead.
So he didn't die on the spot. He died at the facility, after he was referred there. Do we know where the accused person is at the moment?
Well, following the announcement of the death of the disease, the entire community, the majority of them became angry. And according to our community sources, they stormed the house of these suspects or the accused. And it was in the process of trying to retaliate. We're told that he was tied to a tree and was beaten severally. Unfortunately, the chief in the community intervened and rescued him. As we speak, the police have been called in, and we are told that the accused or the suspect is currently in police custody in the district capital.
So we can now hear from the District Police Commander, Superintendent Simon Akabati. He is commander for the Wale Wale Command. He spoke to me earlier on Newsdesk.
Unfortunately, when the deceased was arrested last night, he was just to some beating. And the police went there and rescued him and sent to hospital, and he's undergoing a treatment. He's doing fine.
Okay. And so he is in your custody now. Have you charged him with anything? Have you started investigations? Bring us up to speed, sir.
It is too early to tell you the charge, but preliminary charges to prepare against him will be murder. However, the case docket will send to the Attorney General's office to decide which proper charge should be given to the accused person.
And what happens to the bar where this happened? Has it been closed? Have you cordoned off the place to gather some evidence, and the home of the accused? Do we know if they live together, for instance, because we understand they are brothers?
Yes, for now the place has been cordoned up, and police are on top of the investigations, and we are investigating seriously. until due time we shall give the detailed report.
You're watching News Today with me, Ernest Mino. Let's do some politics now. Michael Ochebefi toppled incumbent Dr. Marcus Ibebua to be elected as the new parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party in the New Joburg South constituency in the Eastern region. In an interview with Mamavi OWUSU, he said he is poised to help develop the constituency.
Let's talk about who you are. So I'm just going to ask the question, who is Michael Ochebefi?
My name is Michael Ochebefi, as you have mentioned, and I'm an indigenous of Koforidua.
I wanted us to talk about, so which basic school did you go to?
I went to SDA demonstration school in Koforidua, one of the best basic schools in Koforidua. It used to be the best when I was a young guy in town, and I did my secondary school in Ghana Secondary School, Ghana's. I went to the University of Cape Coast.
And you wanted to be a teacher, so that's
yes.
why you did education?
Yes. Originally, that's what I wanted to do. Because, but I had interest in marketing somehow too.
Okay. Were you involved in the local politics in Koforidua yes. from the very beginning?
That's one of the things that people don't know about me area. So people tend to portray the incumbent MP as like very experienced politician who has been there for a very long time. We have been there for a very long time. I started doing Koforidua politics actively from 1996, actively. In 2000, we worked hard. I was doing student politics then. We worked hard, and after that, I've been doing politics in Koforidua. Everybody knows me in Koforidua doing politics. So a lot of people know me as a politician than as an insurance person.
What does it take, you know, I've heard some people say, well, someone didn't win because they didn't contribute to the party. What does it mean to contribute to the party?
Contribution to the party means nurturing the party at the constituency level or the grassroots level. No, that politics is about relationship. In our own politics, you see, I have also been part of international politics. Courtesy, my friend Samia Uku. So then I have a lot of friends who are in politics elsewhere in the world, and we share ideas and we compare notes a lot. And you see, the kind of policy we do here is different from the policy other people do. One of my best friends, my best political friends, is also a politician who will very soon become the president of Lesotho or prime minister of Lesotho. And we share notes, and sometimes she's surprised when she sees that I spend so much money and my time with my constituents. But that is what we do here. You know, you came to meet it, and you cannot decide to do anything different, because before you came in, you were doing it. So you cannot decide to stop or start complaining, or immediately, anytime I come home here, you know, you see my house is always full. Politics is a game, so you have to know how to play it, and also to know how to occupy the space.
So what is in it for you?
And you can check out more on this interview on our social media platforms, also on YouTube and myjournline.com. You're watching News Today with me, Ernest Mino. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll tell you the story of a 64-year-old man who has devoted his life to farming, and even at age 92, still active on the farm. Plus the latest in business. Stay with us.
Hey, Charlie, what number? The malaria really knocked you down, eh?
Charlie, no joke. Fever, headache, vomiting, loss of appetite. I couldn't even eat my usual fufu.
You and your fufu. But I hope you got tested before the malaria treatment.
Yes, I did. And thanks to Malatu, I kicked out malaria one time.
When malaria strikes, take Mala 2, containing artemether and lumefantrine. Comes in tablets and suspension for effective treatment of malaria.
Great to have you back.
Thank you. No problem.
Mala 2 is suitable for adults and children. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hey, Charlie, what number? The malaria really knocked you down, eh?
Charlie, no joke. Fever, headache, vomiting, loss of appetite. I couldn't even eat my usual fufu.
You and your fufu. But I hope you got tested before the malaria treatment.
Yes, I did. And thanks to Mala 2, I kicked out malaria one time.
When malaria strikes, take Mala 2, containing artemether and lumefantrine. Comes in tablets and suspension for effective treatment of malaria.
Great to have you back.
Thank you. No problem.
Mala 2 is suitable for adults and children. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Take a tour through Ghana's fastest growing online portal, www.adumonline.com, for local and international news, business, entertainment, politics, lifestyle, sports, and more. Watch the most intriguing YouTube videos on demand and live streaming of Adum TV, Ghana's #1 television station. Listen to live radio and podcast of all your favorite Adum FM programs, no matter your location and time. AdumOnline.com is an audio, photos, and video focused website. We break the news as and when it happens. AdumOnline.com is on web and app, making it easy to visit via phone, tablet, and desktop. AdumOnline.com, Ghana's most comprehensive news portal.
Thanks for staying with us here on News Today. It's now time for the latest in the world of business, and Sandra joins us from home. Hello, Sandra. What do you have in the headlines?
Hi, Ernest. Good afternoon. We are talking about the cocoa syndication. If you remember yesterday, some banks that were supposed to finance cocoa board for the next crop season backed out of the process. But we've been hearing from some analysts who are not so happy with the outcome.
Bring us the details.
All right, welcome to business. Welcome to business. My name is Sandra Eston, and I'm doing this from home. An investment analyst, Mike Kobler, has described the decision by some international banks to ditch cocoa loan syndication as a sabotage. This follows a decision by some international banks that have promised to finance purchase of cocoa beans for the next crop season to back out on the promise, attributing it to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. But Mike Kobler tells Joy's Business is not convinced with this argument.
My own reckoning is that because Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana came together and said they were going to process a certain quantity, about 50% of the raw bean, before it is shipped out to enhance the kind of revenue or income we make out of it. This is some kind of sabotage coming at the back of that. And I'm not surprised.
That we are being punished, our plan setting of prices and even producing some locally.
Yes, I mean, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, obviously, once we enhance the raw materials into semi-finished goods, the prices goes up, and it is not to their advantage. So there's always been a calculated attempt to ensure that we stay where we are and become net exporters of raw materials, which does not have any value addition. So at the end of the day, we are short changed as a country, because then once we export raw materials, we don't get the benefit of the value addition. And sometimes the price differential can be as much as 10 times, what we receive for the raw materials. And it does not inure to the benefit of the economy.
The travel and tour company ADANSI Travel Limited has revealed that 46% of Ghanaians want to travel out of the country to various destinations within the next 6 months, according to the survey conducted by the company to gauge people's eagerness to move beyond the country's borders. 86% out of the over 500 sample size on social media want to travel within the next 6 to 12 months. Marketing manager of ADANSI Travels is Sewa Boatingene.
Before COVID-19 got into the system, we had planned for a whole year's trip. We had local trips and we had international trips from January through to December 2020. We had to cancel all of these trips. We also have cancelled incoming tours. We had students coming in from Indiana University and they had to cancel. And that was a huge amount of money they were bringing into our economy, about $100,000 and
That's
all of that. Apart from that, it's also our staff.
That's quite a lot. Did you have to make some refund?
Well, yes, we had to refund the deposit they made for the trip. I mean, they were coming to stay in hotels, they were coming to use rent buses, they were coming to eat in our local restaurants. So it's not just us. A lot of the industry, the hospitality industry, would have benefited from that incoming trip to Ghana.
Yes, go ahead, please.
As staff, we had to cut down on salaries. There is 19 of us, and we had to cut up to about 55% of salaries. But in general, most of our clients are waiting to travel when it's safe. Survey we did a few weeks ago, we asked clients how soon they wanted to travel. And the feedback, 46% of them said that within 6 months, if it is safe, they are ready to travel. 40% said that between 6 and 12 months, they will travel. 14% of them said that they will travel late 2021. And as I said earlier, over 2,000 of our clients, people that had already traveled with us, also want to travel when it is safe. We are aware that most countries are relaxing the restrictions on the COVID lockdowns. Dubai is opening up on the 7th to tourists. They have sent out guidelines on how to keep the tourists safe. And so we are monitoring all this around the world, including in Ghana here when it's safe and the airports are open, so that we can bring in people and also send people outside. And that is what inspired us to bring out our post-COVID travel.
That's your business this afternoon, but I'm back in just about 15 minutes for the marketplace. Over to you, Ernest. Are you eager to travel anytime soon?
I want to travel now, but I have issues with safety. I'm still not sure that I will be safe anywhere I go. And so for now, I'm limiting myself to home and, to the workplace. And in no time, I shall travel.
The world is changing. Trust the aviation industry to put all the safety protocols in place.
A very good survey by ADANSI, putting the issue in real perspective. Thank you, Sandra. See you later at 1 p.m. for some more business news. You're watching News Today with me, Ernest. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us.
I can see who come in na barrier yo na DSTV at the live sports abre ubio. Wey any bra ya twene ya chenu o. Shiamosa la se wo yi ne nkache. Yakrado Emma Formula 1 any football can see ahudu aka nyina. Abusia tena wakunyamu na bodje wakansi fu a wani ji wo hono so se wo si akan e wo league akase a ye ne ji hu no mu. To say Serie A, La Liga, any EPL, To your DSTV will pay by the point here ben will be and to your mobile agent be Nanya Nijamuru so imuchefa. Ubenya Gukensi Ahudu Asaba in our Super Sports I want DSTV so DSTV. Feel every moment.
Chance here for Eto! Cameroon have the lead. And it's the man with the golden boots.
Le monde est bouleversé, mais l'esprit africain a toujours été fort. Restons tous connectés et proches des nôtres. Unis, l'Afrique vaincra. Son ennemi commun, le Covid-19. Notre Afrique doit rester soudée, afin que les Africains survivent ensemble. Ceci est un message pour la Royal Commonwealth Society Africa. N'oublie pas que tu es quelqu'un d'unique. À bientôt.
Over the past few weeks, Samuel Eto'o has donated over 100,000 PPEs and money to over 100,000 households in his native Cameroon. We thank him very much for this gift. But you don't have to be rich or famous to make a difference in your community or your country. Ordinary people do extraordinary things every day. And we're very happy to have Joy News and Joy FM to support us as we make a difference in people's lives, one person at a time. Stay safe, stay healthy, don't stigmatize, and always remember there's only one you.
We've got sports for you now. The man Oreku Ampofo has the details this afternoon, and Oreku joins us from home. Hello, Oreku. I know that COVID has given time now for some people to move here and there, signing contract and all of that. Tell us more.
Yeah, we would come to that in terms of the European contracts. Today is actually the final day for clubs to ensure that they do tie their players down and get them to sign a deal that will see them at least complete the season. But one contract that has drawn a lot of interest from the local eyes, I would describe it as Nana Yaw, and he has taken a step closer to becoming the new CEO of Asante Kotoko. Remember, Nana Yaw was one of the losing candidates in the GFA presidential elections, which took place last year. And we'll be joined by OWUSU BEMPAH of Nhyira FM in Kumasi as he provides us with the latest of that story. OWUSU BEMPAH, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm Bavo.
Okay. Let me start off with this one. According to reports, what was suggested was that today the board of directors were going to meet with Nana Yaw and take a decision on what his future would be. What's the latest with
that? Yes, it's true that the board of directors are meeting Nana Yaw today in Accra this afternoon to hold talks with him about the possible of him becoming the chief executive officer of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Actually, this has been long coming. After the FA elections, Mr. George Efie was set to become the Kotoko CEO per Dr. Kwame Chey, then as the executive board chairman's recommendation. It seems George Efie was not so much available for the job. So his second option was to go in for Nana Amponsa. So there have been meetings with Nana Amponsa with Dr. Kwame Chey, and he proposed him to the Minister Chief of Staff, Mr. Kofi Bedu, who also agreed to meet Nana Amponsa in some separate meetings. Those meetings have gone on, and what I pick is that he made a very, very good impression about himself to Nhyira. And today, Nhyira has ordered the board of directors to meet Nana Amponsa personally as a group, so that they could find out whether indeed what they saw in him is what the board also will see in him, and probably go on to announce him as the chief executive officer of the new Kotoko management that is about to be formed.
Okay, we know that the meeting is taking place in Accra, but how about Kumasi? What's the reaction been like from the fans and, ex-Asante Kotoko footballers and, all these stakeholders? What are they saying about Nanaya?
I think the main issue has to do with whether indeed is the choice of the board or is a process that is being imposed on the board. I think that's the main issue that is being discussed around the stakeholders of Kumasi and Asante Kotoko. And Kotoko fans remember the days of Herbert Mensah being imposed on PV Obey's board, the days of Mr. Pokunti as a general manager, then came the lawyer Dujenfi board being imposed on him. So the general feeling you could pick is that the stakeholders of the club are asking whether wouldn't Nhyira allow the board hold their own meetings, propose their own policy direction, and look at and go on to appoint their own chief executive officer? Is it prudent again for Nhyira to impose someone like Nana Amponsa on the board? And should they go on to appoint him, would there not be any conflict of wrestle of power as both will be coming from Nhyira itself? That has been the general discussion. That's been a misfeeling, and everybody's waiting for the big news.
Okay, you did mention a conflict in the wrestle of power, but there's also been another conflict in the interest of especially the fans. And rumors has it that Nana Amponsa is actually a Hearts of Oak fan, and we know the rivalry between these two clubs. Does that really matter, and would that really affect him in his, plight to become the new CEO of Kotoko?
Yes, for a typical Kotoko fan, it will matter because it will then will bring some sort of unrest within the Kotoko supporters to know that the person who is in charge of their club as the CEO is a House of Oak fan. And I've seen a lot of House of Oak fans also trying to give evidence that yes, Nana Amponsa is a known House of Oak fan. So yes, there's an undertone to that discussion whether indeed Nana Amponsa is a House of Oak fan, and if indeed it's established that he is a House of Oak fan, Kotoko supporters don't seem to be too comfortable giving a House of Oak fan the chief executive officer job. But for the others who also think that, look, let's look at this competent and what he brings on board to the job. And if he can do it, we had Roman Abramovich get Peter Kenyon from Manchester United to become the chief executive officer of Chelsea Football Club. So it's all about competence and what he has to offer. And the board should be trusted to make the best decision in terms of his competence. And if he's good to go, why not? Let's give him the opportunity to turn the fortunes of the club.
Okay, quickly, OWUSU, before you do leave us, I want your personal opinion on this. If Nana Amponsa is appointed, you will have a 3-year mandate to try and put Kotoko back in the light. What do you make of him? Do you think he can really do this?
I'm someone who wants to give people opportunity. I think it will be a very, very good opportunity for Nana Amponsa. Looking at his views and what he has in him to impact the football world. I think Kotoko will be a big step for him. You have the opportunity using a big club to make the statement that, look, I'm a big boy in the industry. I can affect the industry positively. And if it is that you think I'm not ready to be the FA president, I'll use Kotoko to make that statement for everyone to know. I think, yes, I would have looked for a more corporate person, someone who will come and look more into the corporate structure of Kumasi and Kotoko, have a lot of business strategies to raise money for the club, to do whatever the Nhyira has asked the board and the club to go in the next phase. But if Nana Amponsa is being given the opportunity, I think it's a big step for him. We will have to support
Thank you very much, Oriku, for bringing us sport, and it's now time for news on the international front. On the international front, human trials for COVID-19 vaccine developed by Oxford University are beginning in South Africa and Brazil. Some 2,000 people in South Africa will be involved in what is widely considered to be the earliest and most advanced trial for a vaccine to tackle the pandemic. The first doses of the vaccine are being administered in Johannesburg this week. South Africa has been chosen not just for its expertise in the field, but because COVID-19 is now spreading fast there, that makes far easier for scientists to find a community at immediate risk of infection and to then tell them whether this British vaccine is effective. Similar tests are already underway in the UK, but the infection rates there is slowing, hence the move to South Africa and also to Brazil, where 5,000 people will be involved in the vaccine trial. Now, elsewhere, German authorities in North Rhine-Westphalia are bringing back local lockdown measures after a coronavirus outbreak linked to the meat packing plant. Now, more than 1,500 employees of the Tunis plant have tested positive. State Premier said the preventive measures in the district that's home to about 360,000 people would last until June 30. It is the first such move since Germany began lifting its lockdown restrictions in May. The country has been praised for its response to the crisis, but there are fierce infections are rising again. Mr. Laschet described the outbreak linked to the meat packing plant in the southwest of the city as the biggest infection in the country, and they have decided to deal with it decisively. And that's it for World News. And you're watching News Today with me, Ernest Mini. We'll bring you some more story just before we wrap up here on the bulletin. Well, that will be it for now. We have more news for you on NigeriaOnline.com and later on The Pulse with Gifty and Doapia. My name is Ernest Mini. Please stay with us.
Everywhere in the world, the media is getting saturated with lots of hoax news stories, false claims, exaggerated headlines. Simply, fake news is spreading fast.
In this pandemic, fake news is a new infodemic. But fearless journalists at Joy News are on the front line fighting fake news with a series of fact-checked, compelling news reports. The Joy News Combat Fake News Project, clearing the blurry lines between fake news and the news.
This be Mona Lisa, Miss Dependable. In boss they trust in work, wow. She be busy woman pass, always on the move. Hey! Oh, this one, he be cool chop crack. I be Royal King Cracker, made with real milk butter and the goodness of wheat to keep you going. Let's do it. No dull moment. To all you busy bees, I did for you.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Just don't want him to ask me out before I treat my stretch marks and dark spots.